Welcome to day 30. I believe it's day 30. I can't keep track
Yeah,
anymore, right?
day 30.
Day 30, 30 days. It has been a month since the United States attacked Iran, which was on 28 February. Today is now what, the 29th of March. We have been at war for 1 month. And I'm Malcolm Nance. This is the Black Man Spy podcast. And we are here giving the daily update of the U.S. Iran war. I call it a warcast. With me today, we don't have Jacob Kaarsbo, Danish intelligence officer, because he's skiing, is Wajeeh the Gay Lion, reporting from Minneapolis, who is a Saudi geopolitical analyst. He's brilliant. I got to tell you something. Wajeeh, I can't keep up with the articles you're putting out.
I
I mean,
try to
you're
do
writing
3 a day.
three a
3 a day.
day. It's insane, but it is very deep dive cultural analysis of what our opponents are thinking. And the last one was the split between Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates versus Qatar and others. And if you haven't noticed, we are going through a cavalcade of Asia, of Middle Eastern, North African, and South Asian headwear. Wajeeh has his black fez on for mourning and jihad, right? Is that what you're doing? Are you mourning? Are you in mourning? Or are you on jihad?
I'm on the morning side.
Oh, well, today's a good day to do that. And somebody says they were up in the middle of the night reading your articles. Good men. I'm afraid to say it. The reason that you watch the Black Man Spies Warcast and read Wajeeh's articles and Jacob Kaarsbo's articles is because you are a person who wants a professional levels view of what's happening. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're trying to get updated for what's happened in the last 24 hours. And I'm sorry, it has been crazy. So Wajeeh has his fez. Where did you get that? Is that Egyptian? Where's yours from?
Yes, one of
Another Egyptian fez.
the last store that makes fez hats by hand.
And
It's more than
uh-huh.
300. It's 300 years old. The shop, not the hat.
Yeah, so this shop here I got for my fez is also from Cairo, and it's probably the same place. Let's see the inside. There, we do this little light banter because yours isn't even marked, bro. Come on. Mine
Yeah,
is this is
they don't.
actually an antique fez.
You
This is
have
like,
to fight them now to mark it for you.
oh,
You
sweet. Okay, and we're allowing people to spool up. We have about 700 followers now. When we get to 1,000, we're going to go into the daily analysis. What I am wearing a Baluch Turkmen hat, which is also worn in parts of Iran. And it's, as you can see, it's got the little tassel and everything. And as Wajeeh and I were talking, he said there's a lot of people out there from right wingers have no idea where Turkmenistan or Baluchistan or is in relationship to Afghanistan and or Iran. And this kind of hat is also worn in that part of the world. I'm almost certain this is Turkmen. So, because I can't say where I got it, there's a lot of stuff in this room I cannot say where I got, even though my memoir, Thinker, Sailor, Black Man Spy, has been reviewed and cleared by the Pentagon and blacked out, redacted where they thought things were redacted. We did, you could almost tell where the targets are, but we did remove the location data of where some operations that I was involved with were. But when you're on operations, you get cool toys like these. God forbid. One of these days, I'm going to broadcast from the man skiff. I don't have a man cave. I have a man skiff and a goat locker. And that's where I have really all of my stuff. So, yeah, like somebody says, it's one of the stands. Okay, yeah, thanks. You got it. So, that being said, Wajeeh, what's new on your side? Not on the analytical side, but we are waiting for another 100 people to come on before we start.
On my end, I already dropped my 3 articles of the day. I see many of you, 50% of you who come and read my stuff are not subscribed to me. And on YouTube, 80% of you are not subscribed. So I know you are watching. I know you are reading. You should subscribe.
Yes, go to the top here. Do two administrative things before we start. First, those little hearts down there. Punch them 20 times. That makes the algorithm show to everybody that the show is live and people will come. We had over 2,500 watchers the other day, making this one of the more popular Substack lives. Up in the top corner, you see Black Man Spy, that gray oval with my picture. If you touch it, from the bottom will come up the subscribe buttons for myself and Wajeeh and whoever's on here. Please just don't. You don't have to become a paid subscriber. Just become a subscriber, right? So that you can actually see this. Okay. That being said, we're 900. We're going to be bopping 1,000 here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and start. I will take my Turkmen hat off and
What's your coffee cup of the day? Let's see
coffee
your
cup of
coffee.
the day. I'm glad to say it. Today, I am using my mug from the Raffles Hotel in Singapore, where if any
Oh,
of you
nice.
have been to Singapore, one of the oldest hotels in the English world, because they had a constellation of shishi hotels around the world. This is the Raffles Hotel in Singapore. The Long Bar is one of my favorite bars in the world. This is where the Singapore Sling was started, and I was called there by a client a few years back, and they put me in the Raffles Hotel, if you could believe that. Trying to impress me. Oh, yeah, that impressed me. And they have a beautiful,
Good work.
they have a really nice gift shop there. The only thing I could afford was this enamel coffee cup from the Raffles, which I'm using right now for this morning's double espresso, which is just brewed. What are you sporting? You got to change up them cups, brother.
I got a new cup that one of my viewers sent me from Riyadh U.S. Embassy. It was delivered, so I'm just waiting for the office to open up so I could use it tomorrow or the
Oh,
day
I
after.
just
We'll
made
see.
I just made the most horrible mistake. I literally just poured my double espresso out into a cold pot of coffee. So now I'm going to be really, really uh, super, super frustrated during this show because I don't have any coffee. Maybe mid-show I will if Jacob comes on. But I think Jacob is skiing in the Swiss. He's in the French Italian Alps right now skiing. No, none of this war stuff will stop his skiing. I mean, I got 2 days of Radani skiing in Canada only because a week ago it snowed intensely at my house, and we're just outside Montreal. It's snowing up there, and I had new skis from Finland, and I needed to check the bindings because they're military skis. So that was the only reason I did it, because there's binding. God, I have another pair of skis I have to pick up that I had. I gotta, I gotta, send someone to go pick those up. All right. That being said, we have 1,000 people on now. Let's go to today's activity. There is an enormous amount of activity. Please send your questions in. I have somebody answering your questions right now. I am using now the Al Jazeera live tracker. It is almost impossible to keep track of the casualty counts. They change, they fluctuate wildly. But Al Jazeera has only updated this as of March 27th. In fact, I don't know of any more people who have been killed since Friday. So this is still good. In Iran, 1,937. Of course, that number jumps up every 2 or 3 days as the Iranian Ministry of Health and the International Committee of the Red Crescent start reporting in. So that's important. 24,800 wounded. That is a big jump. We had about 8,000 last week, but we think that people are finally coming to the hospitals and the reports are finally coming in. United Arab Emirates, 11 killed, 169 wounded. That is, and the majority of those were killed on one tugboat, the Musafa 2, which was hit by a cruise missile 2 weeks ago. At first, we had 3 killed. Then it jumped up that all 8 of the crew were killed in that. The rest, 2 people were killed on Friday by falling debris in Dubai, also known as a warhead falling to the ground and exploding, right? Oman, 3 killed, 15 injured. Qatar, 16 injured. I'm surprised considering the intensity of
I
Qatar's
think
attacks.
it's Al
Bahrain, 3 killed,
Jazeera.
dozens injured.
I think Al
Yeah, it's
Jazeera is
Al
out.
Jazeera's out of Doha, Qatar.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Saudi Arabia, 2 killed, 20 injured. The United States military, it's 13 killed, 1 died in service, and 275 injured. We also know, like you said yesterday, 24 U.S. service members were injured when an EC Sentry and KC-135 aircraft were destroyed by a ballistic missile. I'm going to show you the photograph of that E-3 Sentry AWACS, only one of 25 aircraft in our entire inventory, $300 million airplane. It was taxiing away during the missile attack with its full crew when it got hit. And that's why we have so many injured. They were in one plane. How they weren't killed is beyond me. Kuwait, 6 killed, dozens injured. Iraq is in warfare with the United States right now, 96 killed, dozens injured. Syria, 4 killed. Palestine, 4 killed from falling debris in the West Bank. Israel, 19 killed, 5,492 injured. I separate Lebanon because Lebanon is a completely different war. 1,116 killed. We think that number is closer to 1,500 as the Israeli army is invading Lebanon right now and is taking control of it. So that is it for the casualty boards. Okay, Wajeeh, do you have anything to add?
Houthis yesterday came out and said that
Oh, that's significant activities, right?
yeah,
Significant activities. That's the next component of this. Now, hit them with it.
the Houthis came out yesterday and said that it is very feasible for them to shut down the Bab al Mandab stray. If that happens, the oil production that was moved from east to west in Saudi Arabia will be useless. The Suez Canal that is from Egypt will be useless. Uh, the access from Europe to Asia will shut down, and it will add another 15 days to maritime travel, which means it would be at least $8 million extra of fuel only per ship, nothing
Yes.
else.
And all of those costs are passed on to you. Also, the price of oil becomes astronomical because now you're not only not getting oil, you're getting oil from, pipelines to Fujairah, pipelines to the Red Sea, but the Red Sea oil will be cut off. So now most of the world's oil will be cut off. Only the pipeline to Fujairah and oil that's in Oman will be available to the world. We talked about the spot pricing of oil. Right now, if you can look that up for me, Wajeeh, what's WTI? I think it's at 98. Was on Friday. The Brent North Sea crude had gone back up to about 110, 112. But the spot market, that's actual physically oil in barrels that you can take, not on contracts.
Uh,
That was at 166 and could quite possibly move past its record of 177. What do you say?
for 2 day March, not for March 29, West Texas Institute has said $101 per barrel.
Whoa! And that's with Trump making his crazy announcements after the market closed. The market is no longer listening to him. West Texas Intermediary is what it's called. West Texas Intermediary at 101. Holy cow. Can I point out that that's the trash oil? That's the oil that's at the lowest in the market. What's Brent North Sea crude? Does it show? I think oilprices.com has this.
I think it's very, very thick and black
Yes.
versus some of the oil that you see out of Venezuela or the Middle East, where it comes a little bit more like ambery and pure and clean. Which means
Well,
that
that means
the
it's easier to refine, easier to separate, easier to process. And so they would save days of refining on that and could turn it faster into gasoline, faster into plastics, capture helium, things like that off of it. So oil prices today. So you're right. Holy cow. Oil futures has West Texas Intermediary at $101. Holy cow. That's the highest it's ever been. Remember, it dropped to 87 last week because Trump did his phony baloney announcement that the war was going to end. He lied, and now the market no longer believes him. Let's see at oilprice.com. Let's check out the numbers for Brent North Sea crude. Uh, oh my God. Drillers see, here's the headline at oilprices.com. Drillers see triple digit crude and are hitting the brakes. That means they're not going to drill anymore. It is not economically feasible to drill oil in the United States. It costs money because you can't sell it. You can't sell lots of it. You can only sell a little bit of it for a lot of money. Just absolutely mind-boggling. So WTI is there. WTI on this was last showing 99.64, but it wasn't updated. Brent North Sea crude is at 112.6. Murban crude, which is around Oman, has fallen. That was at 117. Its high was 166. So we shall see. But it also tells me the market doesn't believe Trump anymore. Yes, sir.
as of March 23rd, OPEC spot price was 150. As of Dubai, it
Ah.
was 128 for Dubai. For Morban Curb, it was 117. Um, so it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty.
Well, tomorrow, when the markets really open in the United States, this is how people will see it. And after the briefing that I'm going to give you today, I'm going to tell you, you can rest assured oil is going to skyrocket in levels that you can't imagine because I'm going to talk about some things this morning at 10 o'clock. I have a written Substack coming out. Please, all of you, read it, make comments to it, and then probably by the end of today, around 6 o'clock, I will have a special paid subscribers only briefing about an emergency situation that is starting in the Persian Gulf. I will touch on it a little bit this morning, but tonight I'm going to show you in maps and charts along with what Wajeeh was saying about the Houthis maybe jumping into the war. They sent their first warning shot yesterday, which leads us in our spectacular penetrations section of this show, trademark Jacob Kaarsbo. We're going to show you the launch of a ballistic missile from Yemen, which is now coming down in Israel off of Eilat. It was shot down, but it is the first time in this war that the Houthis are now launching ballistic missiles at Israel. They launched one missile and one drone. They have the capacity to launch dozens of missiles and hundreds of drones. But this was a warning shot to the Israelis. Take a look at this.
Boy,
That's the missile coming down.
it's fast.
And it explodes. It hit, didn't hit anything, but we think that the Houthis were deliberately aiming away from Eilat port. It didn't get intercepted. So the Israelis didn't waste an interceptor on it. Like somebody said, it's just a warning shot, right? So now it could get very spicy. And I have a feeling it's going to get insanely spicy this week based on some of the comments that are coming out of the Trump administration. That being said, Do you have any commentary to go with that? Yes, Wajeeh.
I have a question. Do you
Yes.
think the Russian capabilities of precise targeting is also provided to Iran's proxies?
What, the intelligence that they have, the imagery and things like that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think is definitely shared with Iran's proxies. No question about
that's
that.
why
Because,
that's that's why they did
yeah,
not they that's why they purposely missed, because in the past, when they ever shoot a missile to Israel, it's always almost blindfolded, to the point where so many times they have hit Palestinian land in Israel, because they don't have exact precise targeting. Now that they have purposely missed a target, that tells you that they have actual precise targeting. Thank you.
yeah. Well, we know that they have precise targeting. It's just a question of where the intelligence liaison officer in Iran, which is probably, if it's anything, I've seen this. When I was in Ukraine and I was in Ukrainian intelligence, we set up our headquarters in a hotel, in a cafe. And so, because we couldn't be in the actual buildings, we knew they would blow up. Right? And so the same thing with Tehran. There is a really nice restaurant somewhere in Iran, maybe two or three or four of them, which are the intelligence cells of Iranian military intelligence, and they are receiving on a secure communications platform their intelligence in between kebabs and Turkish coffee. Damn, I want a Turkish coffee bad right now. It's Turkish hilwa, right? But see what happens. I don't have my coffee. So this is how they do it. And these guys, it will be run by a Revolutionary Guard, former Rev Guard member. The family is loyal to the regime, and you'll never hear about this, and you'll never find it. And they will be communicating, I said this yesterday, with kids with notepads. And the kids with notepads will take it to someone's cousin in 20 minutes, and that cousin will have a mobile phone, and they will have a series of codes, right? Like, let's go fishing tonight, or, let's go to the mosque at 5 o'clock. And he'll be like, oh, we're launching ballistic missiles at X. Do not think these people are sitting on phones and, like we'd say at NSA, terrorist one, this is terrorist two, launch ballistic missiles at the US base at 3 o'clock. That doesn't exist. When you attack their command and control infrastructure, they fall back on methods that have existed for centuries. And the most reliable one that's existed for centuries is a freaking 10-year-old kid with a notepad, right? With an envelope that goes down the street. And he has a mobile phone too. So if there's a change, they can go, Hassan, come back, right? We have a different message for you. One of the most efficient and fastest communications methods that's 100% reliable is a 10-year-old on a donkey, right? Because if he's just walking, it's 2 or 3 miles per hour. If that donkey's having his ass beat because it's an urgent message, they can move as fast as 15 miles per hour. You think, oh, that's slow. It's not a moped. It's not a bicycle. It's one of those things you don't think about. And it's reliable because it's your kids, right, out there doing that job. So never underestimate an enemy's capability to communicate in the old school. And they're not using one-time codes or pads or passwords. It's written there in plain language, but it's 93 million people. So go try to find that one guy. There is no critical intelligence now in Iran that is all coming to one place, right? I'm sorry, trying to get my slipper back on. That's all coming to one place that we can intercept or destroy, right? So just be aware. That being said, other significant activities that are occurring, warfare is on in full scale. Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, everybody got missiles yesterday. Every day, the Iranians are launching missiles. every day the United States is bombing Iran, right? So let's just get that out of the way. There's almost nothing significant that the United States is doing, except that the United States is doing that is outside the ordinary. Uh, I'm going to show you a video now of what is outside of the ordinary that occurred yesterday, right? So this is important for us to realize, to watch. It turns out, I've mentioned to you that it appears that the United States and Israel have two separate agendas going in this war. I watched an interview by Joe Kent, who was the former National Counterterrorism Center director. Let me tell you something about Joe Kent. I don't agree with his politics. He's sort of a libertarian. He became a MAGA Republican under Trump. But Joe Kent is without any question one of the bravest soldiers the United States has had. Joe Kent was in Special Forces. He was in the National Mission Unit, which is a euphemism for Delta Force. He took part in some of the most secret operations out there. This man won 6 Bronze Stars for valor. Okay?
Wow.
No question, this is a brave guy. His wife was like me. She was a Navy cryptologist, Arabic linguist, who was killed in an operation in Syria. He has to raise his 3 kids without his wife. Like me, he's a widow. And let's just say that he's paid his dues. Well, he did not like what he was seeing over at the National Counterterrorism Center. And it wasn't that his voice wasn't being heard. He said we were being led by the nose ring by somebody else. And I've resisted going down this path for a very long time until I watched the interview with Joe Kent and what's his name? Sean Ryan, the other SEAL. Sean Ryan can be a little conspiracy theorist. So I want you to watch this because this is the top counterterrorism, top special forces guy in the United States. He was a CIA paramilitary officer. He was a CIA subcontractor. He ran the CIA's National Counterterrorism Center till he just up and quit last week, right? And says that the United States' relationship with Israel is out of control. They're out of control. And this is what he had to say about the run up to this war. I saw this just yesterday, and I suddenly found myself going, oh my God, I have to agree with Joe Kent. Well, he knows what he's talking about. Legit. This guy is 500 fucking percent legit. I don't care if he was a Republican congressional candidate or a MAGA selection. You will never hear me say Joe Kent was never a legit special operator or a legit intelligence person. He was, and he earned that shit in blood. So listen to what he has to say to Ryan about how we got into this war, because an event occurred yesterday that legitimizes this.
Of who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East, who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not. In this case, with what the secretary described, and later on the president, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's fine that we offer defense to Israel. But when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. The Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the secretary described, and later on the president, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we...
All right, we played the beginning for everybody to hear that. Before I start hearing from all the people who are big supporters of Israel, I'm a big supporter of Israel. I lived in Israel full disclosure, almost married an Israeli. Thank God, dodged that bullet when I was very young. But I am a supporter of Israel. I am not a supporter of Bibi Netanyahu's administration at all. I see this as disastrous. The war with Hamas is in its third year in Gaza. And and now they're invading literally everybody. And we've got us are being dragged along. And before this goes over, it's not just a disagreement with the war, it's who talked Trump into doing this. And this is the top guy at the CIA who is responsible for responding to all the terrorism. He has access to literally every bit of intelligence the U.S. intelligence agencies has. And he's upset that we didn't make this decision to go to war. It was done for us. And now things are about to get out of control.
Trump
So,
always likes to talk big game about how he always drives a hard bargain, especially with negotiation and policies. And every time when I see him do international relations, all I see is a child. I don't see someone driving a hard bargain.
absolutely. Well, it goes further than that. So today, from this point onward, we're going to talk a little bit about the Substack article that's coming out. You will see an invitation after 10 a.m. for a special Substack at 6 p.m. tonight. Wajeeh, if you want to come on that, you can. I'm going to be talking about my Substack article, which is called "The Trump's Imminent Invasion of Iran is," or I should say, Trump's invasion of Iran is imminent. It is imminent. It is about to happen. And we all need to understand, could it happen today? Yes. Could it happen tonight? Could it happen tomorrow? Who knows? As you know, I've written several Substack articles where I outline from a professional intelligence staff standard of why I'm seeing this equipment move and what you can do with X amount of equipment. I have talked about this before. The first one was us doing a Marine Corps landing on Kaarsbo Island, but before you can do that, you have to seize all the islands in the Strait of Hormuz. Then my next article was called Boots on the Ground is Coming. 3 scenarios, right? 3 Arabian nightmares. And those 3 Arabian nightmares was an amphibious landing in the Strait of Hormuz to take all 8 islands, to a special operation to seize Kaarsbo Island, which could be done with 100 guys, right? And then during that week, we saw all of these thousands of U.S. Army airborne troops mobilized and over 1,000 special operations soldiers mobilized. And we talked about this a few days ago. And that's when I threw in the third scenario, was that we were going to do a special operations raid deep into Iran to seize the nuclear materials at either the Nance or Fordow nuclear weapons research facilities, but that would take us burrowing into the ground and removing hundreds, if not thousands of tons of debris. Because don't you forget, we bombed those places last year and they penetrated and supposedly cracked the shell of those places. That being said, then what exactly are these thousands of soldiers for? Additionally, yesterday I talked about the mobilization of not an amphibious ship, but a vehicle roll-on, roll-off carrier that left Diego Garcia with 900 armored vehicles and 58 tanks. All right, that's a battalion of tanks and a brigade of armored vehicles. And the 82nd Airborne does not have the kind of troops that would operate those vehicles. So that it must be for another group of soldiers who were not yet named. Boom! Fox News starts reporting 10,000 additional soldiers are coming. But my problem is, how do you get those soldiers to those tanks? Because the soldiers will probably land in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait. And the only place that you can load up is either go through the Strait of Hormuz and try to get not sunk, and then go to Kuwait and load up under missile attack by Iran, or come through the Red Sea and go to Western Saudi Arabia. Have that stuff trucked over. Or, I don't even think they've got sophisticated train line there to move all that stuff. But then the Houthis would come in, right? And cut that off. So now we have a geography problem. You know what Israel's answer to everything is, right? Offload it in Eilat in Israel and truck it over through Jordan and then bring it all over to Kuwait, right? Or, Israel's now, everything they want to go through Israel. Israel, by the way, this week, 2 weeks ago, Netanyahu proposed all the Gulf states build a new oil pipeline that comes through Jordan and goes to Israel. What do you think of that? I mean, it's getting a little out of hand. So that being said, I wrote this article 2 days ago, and I said, hey, I'm getting indications that this jump into Iran is real. I have people I know who are defense bloggers are being told by people, we're going to be doing something with special forces. Now, we talked about that a week ago because you don't move 1,000 special forces to secret bases in Jordan and Israel for fun. You move them because you're going to use them. And there have been hundreds and hundreds of other flights bringing equipment out there. Now we've got 1,000, maybe as many as 3,000 parachutists preparing. That being said, the belief that I have right now, I'll bring it up on the map, is that I am almost 100% convinced. All right. Wait, let me bring up the image so that you can see what I'm talking about. Nance nuclear research facility, which is outside of Isfahan, Iran. Now, why I like it Natanz in Isfahan, it's actually close-ish, if 500 kilometers is close, to the Iraq-Kuwait border and to the waters of the Persian Gulf. But it's not the Marines that would be doing this. Let me bring up Earth for Google Earth. And we can all take a look at this, right? Well, it's important that you see this from space because that's how you can really get a feel for the terrain. I'm going to show you a new terrain chart that I have showing how deep the mountains are in that country. You cannot appreciate it until you see this photograph. But things there are pretty bad. I mean, pretty deep into the mountains. So I'm just waiting for Google Earth to spiral up. And then what we'll do is we'll take a look at Natanz nuclear research facility in Ahmedabad in Iran. So here's the view from space. It's spooling up. We showed this the other day. This is the Natanz nuclear research facility. Most of these buildings in this complex have been bombed and destroyed by Israel. The things that they haven't been able to destroy is this mountainside complex here. I'll show it on the pointer because that cursor doesn't do very well. And this is where we bombed last year with the deep ordnance penetrators, massive ordnance penetrators, the BLU-57 bombs. But the most we could have done was crack through the shell of the halls. So I'm going to show you some pictures of the centrifuge halls that are there in Natanz, right? And while I'm looking that up, I'm going to show you the terrain that this place exists in. And I found this great terrain chart the other day. Everything there that you see that is brown or dark black is high altitude mountain. Everything that you see here that is low or tan is a desert. In between mountains. This is where Tehran is, with white snow-covered mountains all around them. The place we're talking about, Isfahan, is down here. The Yazid Mountain Ballistic Missile Complex is here. Karg Island is here. It's dominated by multi-thousand-foot mountains. The whole country, someone put it very nicely. Oh, by the way, this area up here, that big flat sandy place, yeah, that's Afghanistan. They said Afghanistan, in comparison to Iran, is a flat beach with small sand dunes, whereas Iran is a mountain cliff. So that is what we're talking about when we say Iran. We are talking about mountains that make the eastern mountains of Afghanistan, the lower Hindu Kush, Ahmadabad, Tora Bora, all those places look like child's play. They're only 10,000 feet. I know. I've been up to Tora Bora. All right? That ain't nothing compared to this place, because the whole place is the whole country, right? What did they say? 1,400,000 square kilometers is mountain. That's what we're playing with. So let me go back to the big board chart here. The Natanz nuclear facility near Esfahan is one of the most likely places we're going to hit. Now, you can see there are some flat, ripple-ish areas here, but this is actually mountain slope over here to the east of this complex. This is not flat. You know what's flat? That highway is flat. Yeah, that's about it. So, if you're going to airborne drop troops in there, you need to be able to seize airports, or you better be able to seize a highway. Like, look at this, the Kashan Natanz freeway. It's a toll road that is wide and flat that you can turn into a runway. Better be ready. And since you can expect that everyone and their dog is going to come here and surround you and bombard you from their nice, safe mountain spots. Kids with goats will be up there throwing fucking rocks at you. Down onto the complex. I don't understand this. So, to give you another taste of where this is. So, we were talking, where we at? It's up here. Nope. Where do I have it? Voila. I've already lost it. That's how bad this place is, right? Let me get it again on the chart. Here we are. So we're going to measure the distance from Natanz nuclear to Kuwait City. But Malcolm, why? Why, Malcolm? Because that is the closest place that they can come in from. The distance, as I'm moving this, what's that? Not by land, by air. I'm going through a straight line, flying. Oh, let's not even talk about by land. I measured that yesterday on Google Maps, 589 kilometers from Khorram Shah through 2 mountain passes, just 2. That's the only way to get there, 2 mountain passes, right? To Kuwait City, to the Ali Al Salam Air Base outside of Kuwait City, which is right here, is 612 kilometers, which is approximately 300 nautical miles. Alexa, what's 612 kilometers in nautical miles?
612 kilometers is about 330.5 nautical miles.
335 nautical miles. You heard Alexa say it. That is flying over enemy territory, over mountains, into a country that may not have a lot of surface-to-air missiles, but they got a lot of guns. Right? And so we have total air supremacy. Does not mean that we own this. It just means that we can get in there. And gosh, Malcolm, what would a parajump look like? Funny you should mention it. It would look like the image that I'm going to show you, where we would be flying aircraft that are transport aircraft. This is my photos that I use in my my Substacks. And here it is. This is what we're talking about. But we're not
Each one of
landing on
these
a
is
nice.
a moving target, and each of them is landing on a land that we don't know if it's mine or not. And
Correct.
there's a good chance that it is mine.
Not just mined, surrounded and filled with lots of guys with guns. And we have this belief, and I was talking on Mario Nofal's Twitter yesterday. We have this belief that we're infallible, that Venezuela is how all military operations come out. And it's not true. All right, you're jumping into a mountain. You could lose, if you drop 1,000 men, you could lose 25, 30 dead or 100 wounded from jumping into a mountain. It's a mountain. The winds, I am a mountain climber, right? I did mountain climbing when I was younger for years. One of the things that my black ass learned is one, black people get mountain sickness very fast, faster than white guys. We don't acclimatize very quickly. And if you jump in at 10,000 feet, half of you are going to be sick for the first day. Throbbing, you're going to start off with acute mountain sickness, or 15,000 feet or 20,000 feet, whatever you're jumping in at. There won't be any acclimatization. Number two, the winds within the mountains create their own microclimates, and they swirl in between peaks. And then you never know when it's time. Mountain weather, it's that old joke. You don't like mountain weather? Wait 5 minutes, it'll change. Thunderstorms, snowstorms, all sorts of stuff can happen up in there. Now drop 1,000 men in parachutes, right? You're going to talk 100 taken right off the board almost immediately. They can lay on their asses with their rifles, or maybe have to be medevaced. That being said, people, I think, are discounting the possibility, and I'm afraid to say it, that the enemy will be waiting. And we go, no, that's not going to happen. They're not going to know it until we parachute in there. We're going to parachute 500 Rangers and Special Forces in advance, and they'll be able to suppress the enemy, and then we'll bomb every truck or car that's coming out there, right? Because you know they're coming in their private cars. A lot of guys want to do jihad. A lot of guys want to die for Hussein and Hassan and Khalif Ali, right? I know. I lived with the Shia for years. Right? And like my guard say, Malcolm, we love you. We named our children after you. But if the sheikh says to kill you, you're a dead man. Right? Friendship has no place in this in the religion that they love. Their souls are being traded here. Yes, go ahead.
Was it you or Jacob that said last week that if a plane takes off in the United States, getting ready to bomb somewhere in Iran, Iran gets a heads up call 6 hours beforehand? By the way, you got to clear this area before such and such plane gets there.
I mean, there may be, yeah, but actually, to tell you the truth, we don't actually put a lot of our aircraft on trackers. But I always say this, and we saw this when we were having our thing in Greenland, when it looked like they were going to move an entire battalion of Arctic parachutists to Minneapolis. And I said, yeah, the drop zone at Kangerlussuaq Airport in Greenland is going to be called Drop Zone Minneapolis. Right? And I said, I don't want to hear this rumor until I hear it from local news crews at Joint Base Elmendorf. And sure as shit, all these news crews were out in front of the base, and everybody was being recalled and coming to alert. And there were like 30 cars deep at the base entrance on a Sunday. You're being recalled for a mission, special mission, drop zone Minneapolis. So that being said, that's what will happen at Fort Bragg. When these guys embark on the airplane, don't tell me their wives aren't going to be called, that they have no alert to call their wives, to drop the guys. 1,000 of them may already be on their way. They could take off 1,000, but 3,000, that's another animal. Okay? I'm sorry, I don't know if any of you have been to Fort Bragg, but there are a lot of places there that give a lot of intelligence indicators that stuff is going on. and let me see. And the commissary selling out of camouflage face paint down at Ranger Joe's or at some of the big, the military, private military stores. Suddenly all the camo face paint sells out, right? All the jump boots sell out. Extra BDUs sell out, right? And these guys were like, all the combat jump pins at the commissary and the exchange sell out. Guys are down at Ranger Joe's and General, I can't remember the name of that place. I used to shop down there. Down in Fort Bragg, empty out of combat jump wings. That means 3,000 guys are about to do a combat jump. And they're going to put them damn wings on in Iran. Blood wings, right? They're going to punch them in and shit like that because soldiers are stupid. Sailors are stupid. They do dumbass shit like that, right? Suddenly, all the lawyers in Fort Bragg are putting out wills and testaments. Not joking, Fayetteville, right? Putting out last wills and testaments. Then everybody, right, is starting to draw advance pay or take out loans at Navy Federal, right, down in, on Bragg Boulevard or the, USAA, and are taking out advances and paying off childcare and shit. This is intelligence, people. This is how we collect intelligence. And here's the most important one. All the strippers down at Secrets Cabaret, Victoria's Cabaret, Secrets Cabaret, and goddamn Sparky Strip Club in Fort Bragg. I don't know any of these places, right? I'm just assuming there are places called it. Now, I've been down to Sparky's. I mean, they do. You know what they do? They put out like hot wings and stuff. So, strip clubs or the Korean barbecue, right? Outside the gate at Bragg, starts, it's almost always lunchtime is, you can't even get into that place. Suddenly empties out, places like, I know these are all things just off the top of my head when I was at Fort Bragg, that these are places that will give you indicators. And then the conga line of 3,000 cars at every gate, and every car has a woman in it because the girlfriends and the wives are going to take the car and drive them back. And they're going to do their goodbye kisses down at their HHQ, at their headquarters for a morning assembly. And the most important one is when did I say 6,000? Someone's going to say, we just packed 9,000 parachutes. Someone's going to say it because soldiers cannot keep their mouths shut. One parachute for your back, one for your reserve, 2 for every person jumping. This war is coming, and I have a bad feeling that it's imminent, and they aren't going to land anywhere in the Middle East. They're going to fly from Fort Bragg. They're going to get in-flight refueled. Maybe at the earliest, some will land. The Rangers, Special Forces will take off out of that secret base in Jordan, and they will fly straight to Iran, create a jump formation, and jump down into that country. And here's what my worry is. My worry is not about for the chicks down at Sparky's, right? My worry is that we are going to have a scene there are 2 movies, if you really want to understand where Malcolm's mindset comes from, that you need to watch. One is called The Longest Day, right? Awesome ass movie. Just one of the best movies ever done. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my computer here. The Longest Day is about the combat jump it's about D-Day. And one of the mistakes that was made in D-Day was they jumped onto a small village that was the objective called Saint-Mary-Église. I have been to Saint-Mary-Église. I was there last year. Oh, guy crying the whole time. I almost moved to this town as a retirement home. It's the giant airborne museum is there showing you all the para-jump stuff from D-Day. But it was actually a mistake made on that day. And because of the winds, a stick, which is the name for a group of parachutists, jumped into Saint-Mary-Église, right? Not around Saint-Mary-Église, into San Mariglis, which was fully occupied by the Nazis. And this episode, done from the movie of The Longest Day, was actually the technical advisor was the guy who landed on the church steeple and got stuck there. And there is every day a dummy hanging from the church steeple of now what's called the Airborne Church in San Mariglis. I want to play this clip for you because it's a great example from American history of what could happen.
Mm.
Okay, that's enough. So, so that the church bells are still ringing. That was the jump into San Mariglis. I have studied that jump my entire life from when I was a kid, right? Most airborne forces were on target, but many were spread out everywhere and missed their drop zones. San Mariglis was an objective. It was not the drop zone, right? This could happen to us to where the objective may be Nance and we may be jumping outside and around Nance, and then we jump accidentally into it where there are hundreds of guys with the machine guns. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's one of the things that could happen. That's a great film, by the way. If you haven't seen The Longest Day, about D-Day, that's a man's film, right? I mean, that is something else. So we talked about this yesterday, A Bridge Too Far, Operation Market Garden, because all that armor, right, that was coming, that we see on that ship is, why are they bringing that? And why are they bringing 10,000 additional soldiers to operate that armor? Are they preparing, once that jump is done, to go up into Iran with that armor and bring out our airborne troops? That was done in 1944 in Operation Market Garden, and it failed because the tanks could not fight their way through. And for those of you who've seen that famous scene with Robert Redford having to get small boats to cross the river because the Germans were going to blow up the bridge because they needed to capture that bridge, our guys were like slaughtered there. And then the British had two divisions, like, some 10,000 men, literally have to surrender to the Germans because they were surrounded by the airborne, right? So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a parachute jump, not a helicopter jump, a parachute jump, right? The big drop into Iran, not really nice Belgium, right? Or Arnhem in the Netherlands, right? We're talking an actual drop your ass into the enemy's country, right? That's what we're talking about here. And there comes with it a whole series of risks that'll happen there. And I want to show you this because this parachute drop that was done for the movie A Bridge Too Far was actually done by British Parachute Regiment guys doing an honor jump for this movie. This is actually hundreds of real guys really parachuting into that spot in Belgium to recreate, or in Netherlands to recreate it. That's what it's going to look like, except for the airplanes blowing up and catching on fire and falling. Right? So for those of you who go, Malcolm, is that what you're talking about? A parachute jump? Yes, that's what I'm talking about, a parachute jump. Right? So for those of you who don't understand it, when I say airborne operation, that's what we're talking about. So last little bit, and I'm going to surprise you with the bad news. I know we have 1,700 people watching here. Now I'm going to give you why Malcolm is convinced of this, right? What do you got to say about this, Wajeeh?
I call this sobering Sunday with Black Man Spy Malcolm Nance.
Oh, it's going to get
Uh,
worse here in a minute.
it's the whole time you're talking, and I'm trying to put the logistics. I'm trying to put the game strategy in my head. I already put down a game strategy article today, and my pub in my profile, and oh geez, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, and every time we add like a fact, so you guys could understand, it's not and if you're getting scared, that's for a reason. It's because it's scary as
Get
hell. It's
scared.
scary. It is scary. It is scary and sobering, and that
Okay.
will affect your life. And that's all I have to say.
I have one clip, last clip I want to show you because I have to get you to understand what we're talking about here. Right? So then when it happens, you can visualize what it is. The last clip I'm going to play you is from Band of Brothers, which is their jump into D-Day. And it gets unpleasant, okay? Because the enemy is waiting. And for those of you who say the Iranians aren't the Germans, no, they're Germans with more sophisticated weapons. You know, you could shoot down an airplane with a drone, a little handheld drone with a pound of explosives on it. It could fly 10,000 feet and smack you in the face and blow you up. Right? We just saw that last week in Ukraine. They were shooting down helicopters and airplanes with drones, chasing them. This is from Band of Brother, Day of Days. Whoops, sorry.
Yeah. It's easy to hard. The goddamn PC. Like so tired, so bad. All right, get to altitude. Don't be this.
Okay, that's enough. Malcolm, what the fuck? It was this like movie day at Black Man Spy? No. When I used to teach my students at the Joint Service School of Cryptologic Intelligence, I would show them a lot of videos and movies because the key part is for you to understand. I'm not airborne. I'm not a parajumpist. In the U.S. Army, never went to those schools, never did a jump, blah blah blah. But I've studied everything since World War II. And I know disasters when I see it. And I know they could have successful jumps. This thing could happen completely successfully. But Malcolm, you are really going over the top. What the hell is going on? Now it's time to talk about why I am leading you here. Apparently, it has come to the attention of many people in media that Donald Trump has been listening to how can I put this guy's name, to a social media star guy by the name of Mike Levine. How come I don't have this in here? Mike Levine has been encouraging President Trump to carry out operations for, how can I put it, to carry out a special operation to protect Israel, which I don't have a problem with, right? My problem is the fact that he and others in the White House have been encouraging a jump into the middle of Iran. And I didn't care about it or think anything about it until today. Right? Hold on. I am sorry, guys. Give me a moment. I'm just trying to get you the right videos. There's evidence of this that is left, right, and center. Right? Okay, I must have dropped out of X. So I'm going to go to my bookmarks in X because Donald Trump put out a tweet yesterday telling everyone to watch Mike Levine's show last night at 8 p.m. And I had already completed my Substack article saying Trump's invasion of Iran, ground invasion of Iran, is imminent. So I didn't send it out. I waited until I watched Mike Levine's show. And here is the segment that is burning up all over the internet this morning because Mike Levine is apparently channeling Trump. Trump told everyone to watch Mike Levine for something that we need to know, we need to do in Iran.
I don't remember that in any campaign speech either. But why would we need troops on the ground? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and we wouldn't need 300,000 of them. It's this uranium, too. We've got to get the uranium. If it cannot be destroyed, if it cannot be altered, we got to get it. The reason I just said, you can make dirty bombs, and over time you can still make sophisticated missiles. So you need to get to the uranium. That's why I'm reading in the paper, we're talking about the 82nd Airborne, we're talking about these various special forces and the various military services and so forth. He's not talking about sending regular army and infantry in by the hundreds of thousands. The men he's talking about, the units he's talking about, they are specialized. And you know what else? I remember from my days in the Reagan administration. Many of them are trained for a moment like this to try and secure enriched uranium. Many have been trained for moments like this.
What are you?
Wajeeh, I just want to point something out to you. If we were in the intelligence watch section that we're in, right, this little group like you, me, and Jacob have, this is what you would have heard the moment that video ended. Everyone screamed, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you shitting me? This is fucking crazy." Because military people know crazy when they hear it. I saw the look on your face, by the way, while you were watching that. It was precious. Go back, Wajeeh, and watch the video of yourself. Your eyes were bugged out like you were Kash Patel. But that is just one of the things. Later on, there is an interview that is done with Mark Thiessen. Mark Thiessen was one of the most rabid neocons in the Bush administration. I have a history with Mark Thiessen. This guy was a huge advocate for torture. And after I had done my interview with on waterboarding, he called me and said he wanted me to do a waterboarding of him so that he could prove it wasn't torture. And after I explained to him how malicious I was going to torture his ass with waterboarding, he backed out like a pussy. All right. And then he threatened me, saying that as a journalist, it was off the record and that he would have me sued if I told anybody about this story. And my response was, "Bitch, I'm not a journalist. I'm a spy that talks on television. And I do know how to waterboard people. I waterboarded almost 5,000 students in 5 years. So, and it's in my record." So, that being said, I have a record with this guy. So here's Mark Levine and Thiessen. After Trump told everyone in MAGA to watch this show for a special message about what Trump was thinking, here they are advocating for option number 1 in my 1001 Arabian Nightmares, a parachute jump by the airborne and the Rangers into Iran to seize nuclear material.
Since 9/11, a whole bunch of the leadership, including bin Laden's son, escaped from Afghanistan to Iran, were given sanctuary by the Iranian regime, and they've been using it as a hub for terror around the world. And Al Qaeda and Iran have teamed up for a series of terrorist attacks against us. People don't realize this, but we remember the bombings of the embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, which should have been our warning that 9/11 was coming. That was planned, and the terrorists were trained by Iran for doing that because Al Qaeda didn't know how to bring down buildings.
Bullshit.
So they turned to Iran in order to get the training to do that.
All right, pause. I literally ran an Al Qaeda simulation group that launched the terrorist training hostage survival school I was teaching on the day of the Kenya and Tanzania bombings. Everything that man says is a lie right there. Al Qaeda had their own little complex out in the mountains of Afghanistan, and we cruise missiled it soon afterwards, after blowing up Kenya and Tanzania. So what's going on here is, after Levine says we have to jump into Iran, they bring out this dick, Mark Thiessen, to tie Iran to Al Qaeda and ISIS. And listen to why he explains we need to jump in and get the nuclear materials.
So the idea that Iran, which is Shia, and Al Qaeda, which is Sunni, would cooperate is not beyond measure. In fact, I mean, Hamas is Sunni also. Iran works with Sunni terrorists around the world. And if we don't get that enriched uranium and they want to get back at us for what we've done, the easiest way to do it would be to give it to Al Qaeda and let them use it for a dirty bomb. So we have got to get what Donald Trump correctly calls the nuclear dust before this operation is done. Since 9/11.
Sometimes I scare myself. sometimes I just really go, wow, Malcolm, how the fuck did you predict that bullshit? I'm watching C-17s move around. I'm watching the locations where they flew from. I know which mission units are there. And there's only one thing. You can only do so much from one place with these things. All the pieces came into place. Last night, these guys spelled out for the American public that we are going to jump into their nuclear storage facility with thousands of U.S. troops. And we are going to get that material, the 450 kilograms, which, by the way, we could be there for weeks with backhoes and bulldozers, right? The only thing I haven't seen move yet is the combat engineers, and you know they're coming. And we're going to have people bombarded. We're going to own part of Iran. That's my predictive analysis. And I don't have to even say it. These guys have been directed by Trump to go on TV to make the case last night. Trump isn't making the case. He says, Iran is tied to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So now we have to jump into Iran to get the nuclear material from the Shia government of Iran to get it out of the hands of Sunni terrorists because they are going to make a dirty bomb. Bitches, you can make a dirty bomb from X-ray machine material, old yellow cake uranium, the stuff that's sitting outside of nuclear power plants.
detectors, from goddamn smoke bomb detectors.
Yes, smoke detectors have radio. If you concentrate it into a basketball-sized ball of old low-yield radiation and explode it, it's a dirty bomb. It creates radioactive dust that requires you to have to expend an enormous amount of time to clean it up. He's talking about them not building an atomic bomb, taking the 60% enriched uranium they have and turning it into a bomb to blow up in a mall? I don't get it. Okay, we're at fucking crazy town now. All right, that's it for today. We've gone an hour, 20 minutes. I'm going to have a special on this. You watch your emails. It will probably be at 6:00 tonight for my paid subscribers. I am only going to answer questions today. A few questions about what we just watched. And I will be going into greater, more intelligence briefing with a lot more maps and charts detail tonight. I will probably have a PowerPoint. But you just saw it. Everything I talked to you about today, these two dumbasses were directed by Trump to come on television to spell out what's going to happen. And I cannot
it's really stupid. It's really stupid. They just showed all their cards. Again, the guy that comes out and says that he's the best bargainer out there and he knows how to negotiate, he's putting all his cards on the table. And the world is seeing it. Iran is preparing. And every response that we do, Iran seems like they know what's coming around the corner, and they're responding accordingly.
Yep. Well, the only other thing that I can say is if this is a case of strategic misdirection, where we're putting the pressure on and we're telling Iran we're going to come there and seize it, I can almost see Mujtaba Khamenei look around and go, didn't we move that stuff last May? And they're like, yeah, Sheikh, it's been gone. It's in 18 different locations for months now. He's like, okay, let's let them believe that it's there. I want you to send some special trucks out there and take a look at it. As a matter of fact, I have in my in my bookmarks what appeared to be Iran moving 18 plastic 50-gallon drums of material out of that place. Let me just look it up. And as soon as I saw it, I go, that's fake. That's fake. Why would you put uranium that are in lead containers inside plastic drums that you can see on a truck from space? Right? I said, they're bullshitting us. They're faking us. They wanted us to see this. How come it's done in the daytime? Right?
Are most of the facilities where Iran keeps their uranium cake in mountains, and inside mountains, or is it outside?
Yes, they're all inside mountains. Natanz had some crazy number, like 20,000 centrifuges down there. And this is where the UN was, or the IAEA was inspecting the material, right? This is from last June, right? A truck with 18 blue barrels and 2 small machine gun security crews and a crane, right? Going into an underground bunker. This is before we attacked. If anybody has seen these barrels around the Middle East, they're used everywhere for everything. Water, grain, you buy them down at the souk for like $20. You don't move nuclear materials in that. Even if you filled it with sand, or why would you use a plastic container? You would use a steel drum, right? They got more steel drums than they got blue containers. This is believed to be us being spoofed by them, because 450 kilograms divided by 25 kilograms is 18, right? This is last year before we attacked them. So I don't believe those materials are anywhere. They're sitting in 12 guys named Hussein, 6 guys named Muhammad's garages.
Oh my God.
Let's go to questions. This is just too much for me today. I didn't want to go to 12 to 10:30. I wanted to save a lot of this, but now you know what my thinking is. My thinking is that there's a lot of nuttery out there. And before I could even, I had that thing queued up to transmit. Mark Levine and Mark Thiessen and Donald Trump come on to say, hey, listen, Malcolm's assessment is not only right, let's prove that it's right by announcing it on Fox News. It's absolutely nuts. I have on a live stream at 11 o'clock, so we got to get moving. I will be, by the way, on Save America Movement's live stream with Steve Schmidt, Ken Harbaugh, and I believe Dean Blundell will be showing up. Go over and check that out. It's on Substack, and it's also live streaming on YouTube. Okay, here's some questions. Let me see. Do you think anyone in Trump's goon squad told him about Muqtada al-Sadr and the Mahdi army in Baghdad, Iraq? They're all Shia too. Yeah, 85% of Iraq, the 25 million people in Iraq, right? Something like 20 million of them are Shia Muslims. If things were to go bad, we would do something crazy like kill 100 more school kids or blow up an atomic bomb or jump Rangers and special forces into Iran, they would come on the side of Iran. And let me tell you, you could see the government of Iraq that we built up, the entire army of Iraq that we built up, flip and side with Iran. They have to, religiously, they have to, right? Just one of those things. They'll say, do it for Hassan, the grandson of Caliph Ali, of the Prophet Muhammad. Do it for Hussein, the grandson of Caliph Ali, who was killed by poison by those naughty Shia, Muawiyah, the governor of Syria. I studied up on the Islam. When I was in Najaf and Karbala, it became life and death for me to understand the difference in the history between Sunnah and Shia, right? So, I'm not going to answer questions about Venezuela oil or Cuba or Russia, guys. This is too important. I can answer those at some other times. It says, do you think the low casualties in the UAE, the Emirates, and Saudi mean Iran has been selective in their attacks? I know Russia's been giving intel, but Iran has a new level of precision. Yeah, I know. I just think they've been lucky and the air defenses have been good. It's as simple as that. Urban Hermit, good questioner, says, does Iran have the equivalent of Stinger-fired, shoulder-fired air-to-surface missiles? Yes, they have had these missiles for some time. I will bring you some pictures up of Iranians. We call these man pads, right? Iranian MANPAD stands for Man Portable Air Defense System. This is, let me see. And one of those MANPADs almost killed an F-35 fighter the other day. And I'm going to show you
Yesterday.
a picture of that F-35 getting hit. It didn't kill it. It damaged it badly, which showed you the stealth component of this. This surface-to-air missile system that they're using uses thermal imaging, not night vision like you see at night. This is thermal. That's the heat signature of that airplane. And they fire a vehicle portable air defense system. But man portable air defense systems attack in the same way. They go after the heat signature of your engine. Here it is. This was last week.
The reason that missile's very, very, very effective is because the F-35 holds.
Yeah, let me finish the video when you see the hit. So that was fired as small not man portable. That was on a vehicle, but man pads are. We saw that the other day. This F-18, right? We saw over Chabahar. That was off of someone's shoulder, and it almost killed an F-18. See, that's here. Did you see that? All right, there it is again. That missile came off of someone's shoulder. They could have 100 of those guys in the mountains, right? Yeah, we could detect them with thermal imaging. Our AC-130 gunship could go there and hose them down. We could drop bombs on them. But what if they're in a cave? What if they've been digging out caves for the last month, right? They could be in there, and then as those transports come by, suddenly airplanes are getting shot down. Do not underestimate your enemy. That's all this story is about. Okay, last question for today, because most of them are not about this. The Houthis have not closed the Bab el-Mandab waterway. Can Trump save face and back down without a ground invasion, without opening the strait? If no, we are in a quagmire. We recognize that he doesn't, with terrible consequences for the world. That's from Susan. What do you think, Wajeeh?
I don't think he can save face. In fact, he lost all control. Israel is purposely sabotaging the whole operation to make sure that Trump stays in this war and not get out. I think that we are going into a suicide mission. The nuclear bunkers that we're going to are nuclear bunkers. That means they have vaults in front of them. Have you seen vaults? Not regular vaults, not your regular bank vault, nuclear vaults. This is not going to be any easy task, even for the most advanced US soldiers. Yeah.
I know. And to give you an idea of that, I'm going to show you some imagery. Here's a picture. Oh, no, that's that vault. That's not Natanz. Here's some of the imagery. Anyway, Natanz has a shitload of stuff in there. I did want to show you this yesterday. It's a little long. I will show you a sample. Alternatively, in my report, we could be jumping simultaneously into a second place, and that is the Yazid Mountain Ballistic Missile City. And I had a link of this facility, the Yazid Mountain Ballistic Missile Facility. There's a little bit, I'll show you a little bit of this on Substack. because
When I started
this
using this
missile
Navy SEAL
facility,
muscle device, my friends
I hate YouTube. They have the stupidest commercials. This facility has been
laughed at me.
launching missiles nonstop for 30 days. We and the Israelis have bombed it every day for 30 days, and it's still blowing out ballistic missiles. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes of this, and then that will be the end of today's briefing. You guys can go look at this yourself on YouTube. I felt that this was a good video analysis of Yazid Mountain's facility. Might be a little overwhelmingly done, but it's pretty good.
One of the most strategic fortresses has been built. This little city, located at a depth of 500 meters underground, has turned Iran into an impregnable stronghold. The 1990s. After the war ended, Iran's defense doctrine shifted toward asymmetric warfare. Strategists began considering the protection of missile reserves against air attacks. The granite mountains of Yazd, due to their high density, were selected as the best option. Geological reconnaissance operations began in the early 1990s with military precision. Start of excavation, 1998, 8 o'clock. The first TBM, tunnel boring machine, drilling devices were transferred to the classified area. Engineers from Qatam Al-Anbiya headquarters took responsibility for this massive project. Work began by creating camouflaged openings within the rocks. Controlled explosions deep underground marked the first step in splitting the granite. Reverse engineering and localization, 2001. Iran transferred deep tunneling technology from dam construction projects into military use. The first layer of tunnels was designed at a depth of 100 meters for administrative sections. Medium-range Shahab-3 missiles entered underground storage. Internal rail systems were installed for rapid missile transport. Silo launch technology was successfully tested deep underground. Yazd became a strategic storage site for both liquid and solid fuel. Development of Command Section, 2011. The C4I Control and Command Center was established at the deepest point of the mountain. Secure fiber optic communications connected Veiling and Global Shock, 2015. National media broadcast.
This is when they let out that they had this, 2015, right? And it was an underground city of ballistic missiles. That could be the other objective that they jump on and want to occupy and blow up the Yazid complex. All right, that's enough mayhem for one day. Guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. If you are not a subscriber on Substack, come to malcolmnance.substack.com. You can subscribe both to mine and Wajeeh Substack there. You don't have to become a paid subscriber. Just become a regular subscriber. We're trying to get to 100,000. I think we're at 96,800. And just watch this information. I give this to you. I don't really make money off of this, right? I don't have 10 million followers like, other people out there do. But your subscriptions do sustain me and get us to have to do that. Later on this, we'll see what happens in the next 24, 72 hours with regards to this. But a lot of talk now. Trump is laying his cards out. We intend to escalate this war. Wajeeh, last words.
I thank you for having me. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep up an eye for the articles that I publish. I do put a good thought on what kind of questions you might have and what kind of questions you might need answering. And based on those thoughts and based on the questions that I anticipate you might have, I write them. And we've come close on a lot of what we have thought would happen and what actually happened. And I think we predicted a lot of things that come true. And I think if you want to get an actual precise insight of the mindset of the enemy, the battleground, and what's happening in between, we are your guys. Thank you for watching.
Right. And don't forget, I'm in about 20 minutes. I'll be on Save America Movement's weekly podcast wrap up with Steve Schmidt and others. And thanks for coming. See you tomorrow.